welcome back on my channel. If you're new, I am Dina or Boreal, and this is a book review. I know I haven't made a book review since last year, and it's a funny story because I actually wanted to post a book review 2 times this year. First time I wanted to post in like July or August, I can't remember when, and it was about the topic we are going to talk in this video. Basically, this is a remake. We are arriving there, why I haven't posted it. And the second one was actually like a vlog where all of the month of September I read a bunch of books, 2 in PDF form and the rest in like physical form. The video was finished, the video was made, it was nice. It was kind of long, it was almost 2 hours long, a feature movie if you like to call it like that. But unfortunately something happened along the way, and when it finished rendering, for some reason it was corrupted in my gallery, and I was so freaking tired because I edited like the whole day, if I remember correctly, and I gathered like material for 1 month straight only to happen this. Yeah, I probably would never do that video, but this video that I am going to make, and as I said, this is a remake, and I was supposed to show it or like air it in July/August, but it never happened. It's because after I rented it in the gallery, it showed very well, everything was fine, everything was good, until I accidentally uninstalled it or like deleted it from the trash as well. And just like that, I lost a 1 hour video. Great job, Tina! Way to go! Today, because it's also October, and because 13th of October, Friday just passed. Right now it's the Saturday. I don't know when I'm going to post this video, but when I'm filming this, it's this date. And because it's October, as I said, and the leaves are falling down, I decided way better way to do it than today in October, because I am doing this video and you saw the title too, and we are going to make the video that was supposed to air in July or August. So yeah, if you haven't read the title already, we are doing the I read all of the Oseman's books and this is what happened. So a very interesting thing, I don't know if you know it, but right now I have like the 2020 printed versions, and also I want to say that I do not have heartstopper in physical copy. We are arriving there, but I am reading it on Webtoons, and because it's free, I didn't think that it would be necessarily to have it in physical copy as well. Like, the books I just have here aren't like out there in the wild. Okay, maybe they are, but for me it's easier to read heartstopper on Webtoon, and it's also on Tapa, so there's that. Anyway, what I'm going to show you here are the 2020 printed versions, because if you don't know, the thing that I wanted to say, this year Alice released like new versions for the books, new covers if you like to call it, and they are very pretty, and they have been already releasing everywhere in libraries, and I also saw them personally, and they look amazing because they are actually drawn by them and I love them so much. And unfortunately, why I'm saying all of this, it's because that starting from 2024, yeah, these versions won't be available anymore. They will get out to let those versions shine. In a way, it's sad because these versions are like a staple and everyone knows them like this, but that's the life. I'm going to show you them right now. Yes, I am in my balcony, but please look at them. So I have all of them minus heartstopper, as I said. So I have solitaire, I have radio silence. I was born for this loveless, which if you haven't realized, loveless has, instead of a dot, it has a heart. See, all of them have like a dot, but Loveless has a heart. That's adorable. I also have the two novelettas, Nick and Charlie and This Winter, which I made a review for both of them on my channel that you can find them, and I'm also going to leave like some links around here. I don't know. These are the versions I have, and I'm very happy I have them. And again, I do not have heartstopper because I can easily find it online and just read it, especially because it is ongoing and I'm receiving updates when it comes out, and also because I live with my parents. I do not live alone, and yeah, let's say they have like traditionalist kind of ways of viewing things, even though they kind of changed. I don't know how they would react if I had them, but again, it's easier for me to have them, and I have these books here. So yeah, anyway, we are entering the ranking part of the video, and I'm going to start off in the order I read them, and it's not the order I have them stocked, that's the thing. And I'm going to start off with the novelettas because that's how I started it. So yeah, I'm going to talk about them in the order I read them. Starting off with Heartstopper was my first kind of book read by and made by Alice Oseman. So if you don't know, but you have to know because at this point it's like a phenomenon. It has 2 seasons on Netflix. It's also a Netflix show. But basically, if you don't know, Heartstopper follows the story of 2 English boys named Charlie and Nick, who are starting off as friends and colleagues, and then they fall in love in the most wholesome way, and they make friends along the way who also have their own struggles, their own family business. We follow along Nick's coming of age, let's say, because he doesn't realize that he's bisexual, because a little bit of spoiler and not a bit of spoiler, Charlie is gay and Nick is bisexual, and we follow their story on understanding things. Heartstopper is also about understanding yourself. Again, it's a coming of age. What do you expect? We follow their journey of understandment, and we also follow how they second like things. We also talk about mental health and how we can help people. We follow more character stories. We also find family trauma a bit, and it's also so beautiful how love is portrayed, because we have platonic love, romantic love. Nowadays, especially recently, we also have sexual love, and it's the most beautiful portraying of it. It's beautiful. We have asking yourself about the future, if your choices will other people basically mad because of those choices, and you really have to make some choices. And that's basically the plot of Heartstopper. It's beautiful, it's wholesome. I know some people say it's cringy because it's, oh my god, it's so cringy because two boys are having a healthy relationship. Blah. But no, that's what it makes it so beautiful, because it's about something healthy. It shows a healthy way of loving, understanding, and do not be afraid on making mistakes. And I wanted this when I grew up and I was understanding my sexuality, but at the same time I had Dyna.I, which kind of showed me all of these things. So yeah, you should read Heartstopper, and I made a video in February where I ranked all my favorite books of all time, and Heartstopper was number one, still is. So, or like on the first places. I have new books that are my favorite right now, but still, you should read Heartstopper. It's ongoing. You can find it on Tapas, Webtoon, or you can buy it at your local library. Next up, we have a book that I already have, and that is Nick and Charlie, which is basically the what happens after Heartstopper. So this book is also about Nick and Charlie, that's the name. And Nick and Charlie follows what happens after Nick finishes high school and he leaves Charlie off, because Nick is a year older than Charlie, or like 16 or 18 months, but in educational academic point of speaking, he is 1 year older. So this book follows what happens with Charlie and Nick's relationship after Nick goes to uni in Leeds, I remember. Yeah. And it's about fear, and it's also about miscommunication trope. When I first made the book review on this book, I gave it a rather small, I could say, review, because right now I love it, and it actually shows Nick's and Charlie's point of relationship at this point. When I first read this book, I read it in PDF, and I think it was like the 2015 version, because if you don't know, this book was actually first written in 2015, and I think that was Alice's first time when she wrote this book, like the unedited version or something, because in that version there were more words that were, I don't know, for example, at some point Charlie goes to Nick and they are speaking, and Charlie is drunk and he is basically dry humping on him, and Nick is describing how he is aroused, okay? In the book, in the 2020 version, I think he says he is flattered, you know? So this is a bit more PG-13. Not saying entirely PG-13, because we have at the end, at the 6th chapter, which, by the way, if you have forgotten, it's with PGs. And if you know a thing about PGs in pop media, it's that PGs means something naughty or booties or something along the lines of sex. And you know what happens in chapter 6? They have sex. So I think another thing that I love about these novelettas is that some chapters have words, and on the other side of the page you have adorable illustrations, just like in this case. So I don't know if you can quite see, I don't want to. So here you have the words, and here you have a cute illustration made by Alice themselves, and look how adorable this is. I'm gonna die. Oh, and at the end of the novel you can also have, after like the recommendations, This is before the 5th novel. You have this FAQ, I like to call them, but they are like sheets to know about the character. And we have one for Nick and one for Charlie. They are freaking adorable and I love them so much. There are also some like in Heartstopper at the end of them, so that's that. And we also have about Alice. That's also adorable. So the plot of Nick and Charlie, it's, as I said, about Charlie being the fear of Charlie being left out, and because of this fear that isn't actually discussed with Nick, they have a fight while Charlie was drunk, and they kind of break up for like 2 weeks, and in these 2 weeks they all mop out, and in the end they come back together. That's just basically the big plot. I remember I gave this like a 4.7 or 0.46 stars out of 5 stars, but now I could give it a 4.9 stars out of 5 stars. It's small, it has like 100 something pages, and you can read this in like half an hour, 1 hour and a half if you are a slow reader, but you should read it. It's adorable. And yeah, Polaroids are a big theme of this book, and you would love it. It really gives off the vibe of 1989 by Taylor Swift, especially now that the Taylor's version comes on the 27th of October. That's also when the Five Nights at Freddy's movie comes, The Bite of 1989. The next book we are going to talk about on the Oseman verse books, it's actually a book and her debut book as well, Solitaire. So what is Solitaire about? And I just want to say that this book is dark. It's darker than Heartstopper because this book is from the point of Charlie's sister Tori. So if you don't know, Charlie has 2 siblings. His bigger sister Tori, or Victoria, but nobody calls her Victoria, and his little sibling Oliver, or little brother Oliver, not little sibling, but goes little sibling as well. And Solitaire is basically Tori's point of view of things, and this is interesting because Solitaire happens around the same time as Heartstopper, and somehow between the events of Heartstopper and Nick and Charlie. The Oseman verse books are a bit interesting to read them if you want to read them in like a chronological order. They are in a bit of weird way. Anyway, I haven't made like a review on Solitaire on this channel, but this is the moment. So this is the cover, this is the back, and here you can see all of them. All of the books have these things, but with the book you have missing, obviously. And Solitaire basically it's Tori's point of view in life, and we have like her. One day she is targeted by a group called the Solitaire, and Solitaire follows her because a lot of things that are unexplained happen, and you are actually taught to think, because I was, that this is actually a cult, and Tori got herself in a cult situation, which it's interesting to look at. Then we also have Tori's friend Michael, who is actually very nice, very much NVP energy, just like me. He is also pansexual, so he also wears glasses, so me and Michael are the same. And Tori doesn't really like Michael at all because they are literally opposites. Tori is like very introverted, Michael is also very extroverted, and she gets Michael along the way in this adventure, while she also has to get off with her life from her home life. She has to live with her home life, which is not great coming to the fact that Charlie is mentally ill, and there is a very, very triggering scene in this book where Charlie does an oopsie, and Tori is at the party, and she blames herself for the fact that she went to that party instead of looking up for Charlie. And Oliver is so scared because everything happens like very fast. Then Tori calls Nick, and Nick is also blamed by Tori because Nick and Charlie had an argument that led to this oopsie. And it's very interesting because it's very this big plot with more subplots, and it's actually very good, even though the finale is not something big or the finale you thought it would be, and the plot is actually kind of interesting but foreseeable. But this book, for a debut book, it's actually a pretty good book, and I'm gonna give this book a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars. Again, I could have given it more, but the finale is not something I was looking at, and it was foreseeable in some way. The plot twist was interesting, but not interesting at the same time. Again, it's actually very nice, and the characters are the ones that we already know. I mean, Nick, Charlie, Tori, Michael is new, and Tori's friends are new, but the rest of the characters in the group of characters are kind of the same as in Heartstopper. Also, a very interesting fact about Solitaire is that Alice wrote this book at 17, and she wrote this book before Nick and Charlie were even a thing. They were only secondary characters in this book. So, yeah. The next book by Alice Oseman I read was This Winter, which is a very little novelette, as you can see, and it's also similar to Nick and Charlie because it has illustrations and a little bit of text. Example, this is an altercation with see, this is Tori, this is Charlie, and this is Jane, their mother, and they have an altercation. See, text, illustration, which is not really the best illustration I chosen, but you know, illustration and then text. So, This Winter follows the events from Heartstopper. I don't know what volume, I think volume 4, or yeah, volume 4. So basically, because of Charlie's mental problems, he goes to a psych ward to treat them, and This Winter is basically the Christmas right after Charlie comes home. Because there is this quote, this image in Heartstopper, like the comic, where it says, and Charlie came in December, just before Christmas, or something along those lines, and it's just an illustration of Charlie hugging Nick, and it's a bit hurtful to say the least, but I'm gonna be a warrior. So this winter I made a review on it, and I'm not going to say anything more besides that. The plot revolves just around that, and we also have like how different the Christmas are from the Springs to the Nelsons, and we also have like we meet like Charlie's relatives, and I think that's the only time we meet them, which is interesting because we haven't met them in like the Heartstopper comic yet. Again, interesting. And things get, as you saw, that was an argument, and things don't go along great way. Yeah, but as short as it is, it's a great book, and you'll cry. I cried. And this book is a 5 out of 5 stars book. You should read it, and especially in the Christmas period, if you are a bit festive and wanna get festive. Again, a short book for a short story, but a beautiful one. The book I read was Radio Silence, and this book follows Francis and has a character that is also in Heartstopper, and that is Alice. Radio Silence has two main plots actually. I think it's very great to describe radio silence. The disappearance of Alice's twin sister and Frances' questioning of her entire life. Radio Silence is a very interesting book because it happens with the events, it starts, my bad, with the events that finish in Solitaire. Like, Solitaire finishes in a way, and Radio Silence starts with that part, and that's interesting. Radio Silence, as I said, follows the story of Frances, who has a set future that she's going to Cambridge, follow literature, and that's gonna be her life. But life isn't like how you wanted or expected it to be, and it's interesting, and it has a lot of subplot. For example, the guy that makes her favorite podcast, which is an interesting guy, that's what I'm gonna say, follows her on Twitter and basically DMs her to do his visuals, his art, because Frances also draws and she's actually a very great artist, and people are like, why don't you actually go to art if you are so, I don't know, if you aren't really very sure if literature is even gonna be your future. And we also get to see Alice's best friend and also crush, Daniel, who also wants to go to Cambridge but on medicine or something, science along the lines, and he actually gets into it. Because, kind of a spoiler, but Frances doesn't get into Cambridge, and that's the main question. If everything was worth it, everything, and a dream that a lot of people like put like pressure on you, or like even the thought of going even to college is worth it. So yeah, it's interesting because, as I said, it follows two plots, and while everything this goes on, we also have the question of what the heck happened to Alice's sister, twin sister Caris, and somehow Frances is kind of responsible for that. Somehow, I'm saying somehow, and she kind of lives with the guilt that she is the person that made Caris disappear. And I'm gonna leave you to that, to see what happened to Caris and what happened to the podcast, why Frances didn't get into Cambridge, and so much more. And this book, it's a solid 4.7 stars out of 5 stars, and you should read it because this is Alice's sophomore book, and it was written in 2016, exactly when Heartstopper also debuted it as a comic on Tapas at first, but then moved also on Webtoon. So yeah, you should read it. The next book from Alice that I read was I Was Born for This, and I saw that this book is a bit more controversial because, well, with the events that are happening this week and have been happening this week in the world, which I won't really go into it, it's very heartbreaking what is happening, but people on Twitter went a bit crazy over this book and for undeserved reasons, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman and what it is about. So I was born for this, so also this is the back and this is the front if you want to see it better. Okay, so I Was Born for This, it's about internet friendships, how parasocial relationship with a celebrity can affect you and your life, and what it means to help strangers and be kind to yourself. Basically, this book shows the relationship, the parasocial relationships can do with life. And basically, this story is about Angel, who is a girl who wants to meet her band, The Ark, which is formed from 3 boys. And they are singing in like her internet friends region, Juliet, and It's interesting because Angel's whole personality, let's say, it's the arc, it's this band, and she doesn't know what to do if they aren't there. And there are situations where she's put in like very questioning situations, and then her friendship with Juliet is actually questioned. We also meet Juliet's grandma, more grandpas. We see a lot of elderly figures in this book, which I love. We also see trans characters because the main singer of the ARC band, Jimmy, is trans and also gay, and it's actually a very interesting dynamic. Also, Angel is Islamic, and yeah, this book is about parasocial relationships because, as I said, Angel is very obsessed with the arc to the point where she also ships Jimmy and another guy, I don't remember the name, from that group. And I think it's very interesting to see how Alice portrays all of the crazy fans of boy bands in this book, and not just boy bands but also that are fans of celebrity, and every interaction a celebrity has with like their friend or someone that they are close with and have been close with shows to the media, and how fans portray it. And the shipping, it's very there because it kind of much shows how One Direction was and how the K-pop groups are. So yeah, this book is actually very interesting, and it shows the fandom culture, which I haven't really seen in a book or have read books on that matter. But this book gets a solid 4.8 stars out of 5 stars because this book, it's worth it, and you should also read it. It has a very heartwarming ending, and I think you would like it. Okay, for the last book I had to move from my balcony inside my room because my phone gladly drained out of batteries, so I had to put it to charge. But it's luckily that it's the last book that I'm going to show you, and the last book that I've read is, of course, Loveless. This is the cover, and it's purple. And it's a very great book. It's amazing even. At that top I did in February, I put it on my third place out of favorite books because this book shows what is to be an asexual in a love paper. And that's actually interesting because we follow the protagonist, Georgia, and from the school, since the end of high school, she tries to find her perfect boyfriend. She tries to find the perfect girlfriend even. She tries to find that right person that will spike interest in her, but she finds love very weird, and she finds herself being in a relationship also weird. And it's very hard because she is at the college and she has a new roommate. Her roommate name is also Rooney, and she has this old friend who has actually been her friend since 7th grade, Pip. And she also has Jason, I think his name was Jason or Jacob. I'm bad with names. I read this in February and I haven't really touched it because I have read it already since February, so I'm sorry, especially now that I have to remember a lot of names for university lectures and literature, so I'm sorry. Anyway, and we follow her experience in college because this book starts with the end of high school and finishes with like the end of the first college year. And it's about her experience in college. She makes friends, she gets to in clubs actually, and she meets a guy who is non-binary and asexual at the same time, and he wears the asexual pin so out and proud. He's out and proud, you know? And
he is questioned by Georgia at some point. What's that? Why she is loveless, and why is she how she is? Is she broken? And she gets her answers that she's asexual and at the same time aromantic. So now there is a sexuality for that aro ace, where you are also asexual and aromantic. And as an asexual person myself, or like demisexual, just like Aled in Radio Silence, but demisexuality is under the ace umbrella, so I'm also falling into that category. This book got me because not always about the romantic love. Romantic love is beautiful. I mean, we saw Nick's and Charlie's relationship is beautiful. But platonic love can be as amazing as it is, just like romantic love. And this book actually shows that her friends are there for her and it may be beautiful. She also finds that she already has a soulmate, because she also had this thing about soulmates and such, and it's beautiful. She already has a soulmate, even if it's a platonic one, it's a soulmate nonetheless, and is there to care for her and loves her the way she is. And all her friends love her the way she is, even if she doesn't really show interest in love, or like she will never will, or she will at some point but do little to no things about it. I don't know. But yeah, Loveless, it's about self-acceptance. It's about platonic love, found family for freak's sake, and it's also about Shakespeare. My bachelor's degree is really on Shakespeare. This book really showed me what love for yourself, for your hobbies, for whatever it means actually. And you should read it if you are an asexual, aromantic, aro ace, demi, or whatever, or just want to read a great book. Loveless is for you. And I'm actually very interested to see what Alice will write next, because they said that they don't have really many plans to write anything at this point, because they are also with the script for the Netflix show also called Heartstopper. They are also in the makings of the 5th and preparing for the 6th volumes, which is going to be the last volume for Heartstopper, and also finishing Heartstopper. So yeah, they are very busy right now, but I can't wait to see what book they are going to write next, because I'm going to be the next person to basically get that book and read it. But for now, these are all the books I read, all the books Alice read, and I read them all. What's my opinion on it? On them, actually. I love them, and they actually show a whole plethora of things, of themes. If you're like a really into love thing, you can read Heartstopper. If you are into some mystery, solitaire. If you are questioning yourself, you can read Radio Silence or Loveless. Obviously, if you are into a bit of fandom drama, you can read I Was Born for This. If you want something short, you can read both the novelletas Nick and Charlie and This Winter. So there is something for everyone. That's what I'm wanna say. And if you wanna read them, read them. And now, in what order you should read them, because there has been always this debacle and questioning in like the fandom, in what order that you should read the books. In my opinion, you should read them like this: Heartstopper, Volume 1 and Volume 2, I think. Then, and also Volume 3. Yeah, Heartstopper, Volume 1, 2 and 3. Then we have Solitaire. Then we have Volume 4, 5 and possibly 6 of Heartstopper. Then Nick and Charlie. Then you could read Radio Silence. Then I Was Born for This, and then Loveless. Oh, and I think also This Winter between Solitaire and the 3rd volume of Heartstopper. I don't know. I'm sorry. But But basically this is the order: Heartstopper, This Winter, Solitaire, Heartstopper again, Nick and Charlie, Radio Silence, and basically then I Was Born for This and Loveless. Or you can read them however you want. There is also on Alice's site like the order you can read them, and also on Pinterest people have made worksheets, they have made Excels on how to read them, they have made graphics, tables, so yeah, read them however you feel and wish to. This is only just an advice. Thanks for watching. If you wanna see more videos from me, you can subscribe with the bell to receive a notification every time I post. And if you wanna see my activity outside of YouTube, you can follow me on my social medias. The links are down in the description below. I was Dina, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Goodbye!